Hello, hello. This is the Astral Tourist. Welcome to my channel. This is January 11th, 2023. So the main reason I'm getting on is because a few nights ago, I encountered my third black hole. This was supermassive. Not like the other two I've described before, but to help keep this a little bit short, the first one just looked like the regular kind of a translucent bubble in space, and there was just space before it. And when I went through, I didn't feel anything at all with that one. And there was just space after it with a bunch of stars in the distance. And I woke up before I could explore more. With the second one, I was observing it from like this long dead planet. There were still some beings on there, and I guess people who used to live there astral projecting there still, but it was definitely ancient. What was there was just like a facsimile of some shops and things that used to be. I know there was this like one troublemaker that was like going to come after me or something. I don't know if he was a bad guy or just confused spirit or what. And so I got all in my misty form and evaded him. It wasn't that hard. But I remember while I was wandering around there exploring, I looked up and I saw like what looked like orange flame outlines. And so this black hole was much larger. I thought it was a black hole. I went up to explore, and there was the event horizon, and again, like that empty space in the middle. I went right through. I felt no gravitational forces. The only thing near it before I went through was this long dead, I guess, exoplanet. Is that what they're called? Outer planet, exoplanet. And when I went through, again, nothing was there. So this is not just like some astral portal. This was a black hole. And just nothing except for stars in the distance again. Okay, so now this catches us up to a few nights ago being my third supermassive black hole. And this one was, when I say supermassive, I mean it was enormous compared to the other two as far as what it looked like. And also the color was more of a violet, like a bluish violet. Actually, I think the first one had some color too, but a lighter color, not just complete translucence. But I would have to consult my journals again to see what I wrote down. Anyway, so the first one was quite small. The second one had like the orange flame outlines, even though it wasn't like on fire. It was just like a visual I had of the magnetic forces. And it did not spiral me around or anything. But this third one, I did not see the flame-like outline. I saw a violet outline. I saw like almost a half dome shape, like part of the sphere, only upside down. And so how all that began was I was on this planet. It was evening. It was heavily populated planet. And I saw a whole bunch of people getting in line to walk up into the sky. And this line went on for miles and miles. And at first I could only see their faint outlines. They kind of looked like stick figures at first. And I thought, this looks like one of those shamanic journeys. And if you study shamanism at all, or shamanic methods, I should say, there's like this rowboat method and these other methods where people work together to take a journey. And that's what these people were doing. And so I thought, even though they just looked like black stick figures for a while to me because I was observing them from afar. And I have no idea what I was doing there, what I did before, but I saw that and I was like, that's getting me lucid right now. I got to find a way to get in this line. And at the time I didn't know where they were going. I just knew they were marching up into the sky, and I thought, this has got to be a big deal. Big deal for this many people to get lined up like this. I mean, they really are going somewhere, and I want to know where it is. So as I got closer, I could tell that, these were, for the most part, humanoid beings. I couldn't really tell a lot because it was dark. I know there was like a female in line, and I asked her if I could get in, and she said, sure. And I got in behind her and before another man with dark hair who was behind her. And he didn't mind either, but he looked a bit more zoned out, so I don't think he would have cared anyway. But she was pretty lucid, and she's like, get in line. So I did. And I just kind of mimicked them. They were all like doing the same kind of like a marching pattern, which reminded me of that shamanic rowboat method. You got to go in sync, right? So I'm like getting in sync with these beings, and we started to go up into space. I don't remember much about their atmosphere. I think it was a clear night, and then I was just up in space with them, and everybody was getting a little bit further apart from each other somehow. But everybody was still like going in a line, and this line went on for miles and miles. I don't know how many, like maybe 30 miles, maybe more. I was using my 360 vision to look around, and I could see that they were beginning to curve and turn through space ahead of me. So I was getting ready for the turn, and that was all fine. And this went on for quite a long time. For the Astral, like it felt like, I don't know, not like a month or anything, but gosh. I just don't know anymore, but it was a long time. It could have been 30 minutes. It could have been a week in the Astral. I don't know, just marching along, curving through the stars in space, and not getting up real close to any of them, by the way. Like I could see that they were there. These people knew where they were going, and there was like very precise movements too. Okay, and so then I saw it coming up on the left. The supermassive black hole, the half dome shape, only from my perspective at least, it looked upside down. Like it wasn't like the top part of the sphere. It was the lower part, highlighted in violet with like a straightish violet line through it. And I was like, and it was way bigger than anything this line could be. Like, oh man, where are we going? Black hole, here I come. I was hoping. I hope they weren't going to just go around it, And sure enough, I saw that they kept curving in a tighter, like a spiral. Now this one is more like what I've read about online, where the gravitational forces can go like in a spiral pattern. And that's what this one seemed to be doing, because that's what the people were doing. So that just fascinated me, since I didn't get any of that with the other two black holes. So, going definitely more and more in a spiral pattern. People were getting further and further apart from each other. And while I was doing my best to keep marching, suddenly I was just out of line. I was out of line, or what seemed like it. Like I could still feel them, like my connection to this group. But I was suddenly out of line, and I was getting bounced around like one would expect to be, but I wasn't with the other two. I was getting bounced around, but in the same, like, kind of a spiral pattern, only inward and inward and inward and inward. Every once in a while, I would be like more to the right, diagonally, and then to the left and with a curve or something like that. But it was mainly going, I guess clockwise, maybe a little bit. Like, because it was always a bit more to the left, even though I was also bouncing diagonal to the right at times. And then I was just inside the hole. I was in there. And suddenly I saw the line again. People were still marching, but I was off to the right of them. They were going along what appeared to be a wide, straight, paved road. I couldn't see what else was around much, if anything, except that where I landed was a much smaller road. Like, it wasn't gravel, it was still paved, but it was smaller and it looked like it was going off in the distance and then curving to the left a bit, way in the distance, and then I'm not sure what or where it was going. And I thought, now that's odd because I couldn't remember reading if black holes vent, have different areas where one could potentially come out if one could survive being in there, right? So I couldn't remember if that was true or not. I didn't know if I was making it up, but I looked it up this morning, and some theories do suggest that black holes, supermassive ones in particular, can have different areas of ventilation for the magnetic fields. So I think when I got pulled out of line, I got drawn towards the southern magnetic field. And even though I was still with the group, I got pulled towards the group too somehow. And so I was looking up that smaller road, I was looking at the larger one, and suddenly people began like manifesting what looked to me like stagecoaches, only they were all in white. And some of the ladies had bonnets on. Most of them just looked like they were in their pajamas, actually. They were going really fast, really, really fast down the main road. I remember getting one of the ladies to stop, which was really hard because most of the people were manifesting these really fast-looking stagecoaches. And I don't think that that was a literal translation that my brain made. But whatever they were manifesting, it was meant to be a quick vehicle. They were really going to pick up the pace now. But anyway, this one lady was an older lady, and she was just going along on a bicycle. So she was willing to stop for me. And I wish I remembered what she said. I don't know if I made a note. If I have, I'll mention it later in a different video. But what I mainly remember is her telling me that everything was fine and like running on time, but she had to get back in line pretty fast or she wouldn't be able to keep up. So, I understood that. It's a group endeavor here. So I thought I better find a way to get back in line too. And before I could, I woke up. So I don't remember if I made a note. Usually I do, and I can't find it. So maybe I didn't. Maybe I did in another dream. If I remember what else she said, I'll let you know later. But she was in a hurry to keep up, and I don't blame her. And that is my third black hole experience. And that one did knock me around a bit there. So I guess sometimes there are gravitational forces to feel. Maybe the other two just weren't very big ones. I don't know. I'm fascinated with this idea of them having various areas to vent the forces or direct the magnetic forces. So, I'm fascinated. I just come back from these things with more questions. So moving on to just last night, which is not as exciting, but I still want to get it down somewhere. I think this was an astral projection that was then possibly turning into a lucid dream. I was in a wooden ship down underneath in a large cabin. Not a personal cabin, like an area, like a large area, with a bunch of different people sitting at different tables. There were huge, at first I thought there were decorations on each table, but it turned out that they had water in them, like this glowing, effervescent, whitish looking water. One had a lid that looked really loose, and one of the things that helped get me lucid was that that lid came off. It wasn't my fault, but I saw it wiggling, and then it came off, and this water inside must have been fizzy water, like soda water, and it went everywhere. And then all the other ones on all the other tables popped off. Their lids popped off too. And it went everywhere, and the whole room just began filling up with this stuff. It was acting more like a gas and just fizzing, and it was getting so bright. And I remember I put my hands over my head, and I was like, I don't know what to do. It doesn't seem dangerous. And nobody else was telepathing back to me. And so I thought, I'll just wait it out. I mean, it doesn't feel bad. It's just really weird, the whole room going all white like that and fizzy. After it calmed down, nobody really seemed to think a lot of it. Somebody came around to the different tables with what looked like pieces of chocolate and just small glasses, only very, very partly filled with wine. And then I thought I heard somebody else telepathing to somebody else just barely, like about communion. And I thought, well, I don't want to take communion because that would, not be honest of me. I'm not the kind of person that takes communion. So I thought, well, I'll get up and I'll explore the ship a little bit more instead of sitting here for whatever this is. It seemed religious, and I want to be true to myself and to others, and maybe I should have tried it. I don't know. I don't know what kind of communion it was after all. But I decided to get up, and as I was walking around, one lady said, "Come over here, I'll give you a reading." And it was like one of the oddest readings I've ever had. And she pointed to this part of the wall in the ship that had a very shiny, ornately decorated penny there inside the wall. And I don't know if it was Canadian, maybe. I saw what looked like maybe flowers or wheat, and like a woman with wings or a statue with wings. It was glowing. And she said, if you look at the penny and just go straight up, then there's a clear path ahead, even though I couldn't see what was straight up. I mean, it was just more of this old wood from the ship, right? But over here, there's this engraving, and she said it was about the ship's flower, or the flower of the ship, like how it was made, or something like that. She wasn't very clear about that. But if I were to go towards that flower, instead of just straight up where I couldn't see any bearings really, then there would be trouble. So don't go towards the flower was the main gist of the message. It wasn't a fully formed flower. It looked really old, like maybe just some old decoration somebody had carved in there like 200 or 300 years ago, eons ago, I don't know. She was trying to be helpful, so that was nice. And I love coins and things like that in the Astral, and I think of those as an energy exchange. So I really liked what she was saying about the coin. So I decided to just focus on that, nice and new, not old energy. If this is a dream, then, keep progressing with new ideas and things like that. That makes sense. So I thanked her. She even gave me a hug. And remember, she was taller than me and quite a bit thinner, so I was a little bit jealous, but not too jealous, not in a bad way. Just like, yeah, I got to lose more weight. So that was really nice of her. And I thought, wow, there's some nice people on this ship. And so I was just walking around. I thought maybe I'll explore what's outside. So I went more towards the outer part of the hull to see if I could maybe find a window. We were down in the middle of the ship, though, and there were no windows. We weren't like on an upper deck. So I was just like going along the wall, feeling it with my astral fingers, like, just to get an idea of the density, like maybe I could just phase through it and then explore somewhere else or just see what was outside. And suddenly the ship lurched deeply to the left, and people were like, "What's happened? What's going on?" And I don't think I did that, but I don't know. Maybe the act of touching the outer wall made the voyage of the ship precarious. Maybe I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't really forcing my way through that wall or anything. I was just, getting a feel for it. That's all. And there was this deep lurch. I was trying to grab on. I grabbed a bit through the wall and found like a rough piece of wood with my hand. And I thought, I don't know what's going on. I don't. People were telepathing all around, and it lurched again. And then I heard this really loud, like rumble. And then a huge bang, so loud. And that totally adrenalized me, and that did wake me up. And I was so full of adrenaline when I woke up this morning. I went and asked my sweetie, because he's an early riser, if something had fallen. Like maybe I thought, maybe I was just dreaming. I heard something fall. It incorporated itself into my dream, possibly. But he said, no, nothing fell. So I thought, okay, well, I guess they all can't be like paradise or black holes. Still, it was pretty fun up until then, so I'm going to count it as a win. And, stay positive. I had a lot of energy this morning after that. So, I guess it was good for giving me energy for the day. Have a great time. Have a great week. And I will get on again sometime when I have another fantastic astral experience to share. Or maybe even if it's just kind of a dull one, because it's important that people know that not every single experience is like epic. Sometimes you just get out, look around your room, and get pulled back in. So the tip for that is to get further away as fast as possible. Go fast, right out your wall. But make sure you've done your reality checks first. You don't want to ever make a mistake and be awake, right? Run into the wall. Okay, bye for now.